What's going on, everybody? David here. Today we're going to talk about that second stimulus check. So we should all start looking towards the second stimulus check. I know there's some people who still haven't received their first stimulus check, but we have to start focusing on that second one because you give it any time and guess what? It's going to be forgotten about by the politicians. So we definitely want to focus on that, know what's going on, know what the proposals are. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. But first off, on this channel, we talk about personal finance and traveling on a budget. If that sounds like something interesting to you, please hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the little bell notification so you can get future updates on my videos. All right, so we're going to talk. I'm not going to go into in-depth specifics of these different proposals, and the reason why is because I'm going to do separate videos of all these different proposals that are coming out and as they come out. So you want to subscribe to the channel, that way you'll get all the latest information when it comes to these different proposals. So hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification, you'll get notified when I put out future videos. I know I just said that, but I just want to remind you, it's very, very important. That way, anytime I put a video out about a proposal, you guys will know about it. And at the end of this video, I'm going to let you know why you should be concerned about these different proposals and how you can affect these different politicians and get them, hey, you know what? I'm interested in this one, but I'm not interested in this one. That way they'll kind of know what they should be pushing for. All right, so the first thing I want to do is take a step back. We'll look at the legislative branch. I want to talk a little bit about how this is going to work out, how I think it's going to work out. Now, I know you're looking at me and you're thinking, who is this guy? Like, who's he talking? Why is he talking about politics? Who is he? So I majored in political science. I do have a background when it comes to working with politicians. I worked with politicians for 20 years as a campaign manager on down the list. So I do have some experience dealing with politicians, and I know how they think when it comes to things like this. You have to understand, a politician's biggest fear is not being reelected. So what they're going to do for the people so they can get reelected. They don't want to look like the bad guy, because if they're looking at the bad guy, they're not going to be in office. So right now we're looking at the House and the Senate. They can both bring a bill to the floor. So when it comes to the next bill that happens, they can both bring them to the floor. The last CARES Act was brought to the floor by the House of Representatives. This CARES Act, it could be brought by either or. I still think the House of Representatives will probably bring it to the floor first. And the reason that I'm saying that is because the proposals right now, they're coming from the House. So a lot of these proposals that you're seeing are coming from the House, and so they're already talking about things. They're probably going to bring it to the floor first. Now, the good thing about the House being the one that brings it to the floor first is they're talking about things for the American people. So they're talking about payroll tax waivers. They're talking about free rent, free mortgage. They're talking about a stimulus check in over months. So they're talking about different things that we're interested in hearing. Right now, Mitch McConnell, who is a senator and he's the majority leader, he is not really talking about any of that stuff. As a matter of fact, he's talking more about, hey, you know what? Let's hold off. Let's see what's going to happen. Let's look at our finances and all that. And they want to look at finances now, but when they're dishing out money to big corporations, you didn't hear anything about let's look at our finances. But as soon as that went through, as soon as our last little bill went through, the $484 billion help with loans, the PPP program and all that, as soon as that went through, now it's time to let's take a look at what's going on. So I think the House will initiate this next CARE Act. They'll initiate it. They will vote on it, pass it, move it over to the Senate. Now, once it goes over to the Senate, if the Senate wants to kick it back and say, no, we're not gonna deal with that, we're not gonna vote on it, or we're gonna make changes and we're gonna take out this next stimulus check, then guess what? There's gonna be some problems, right? Because most people would probably say, hey, you want to give me some money? I want money. Actually, I earned the money. I paid my taxes. You can give me a little bit of that money back. So I think the majority of people, if they found out that the Senate wanted to pull out some of the stimulus checks and stuff like that, there would probably be a big uproar. And being that it's an election year, that's the wrong time to start messing with people when it comes to money. So that's why I think the House will initiate it. They'll push it through. And what's going to happen, and these proposals, you have to understand, these proposals, they're going to be out there. They're going to be out there. You're going to have a lot of different stuff that they throw out there, and they know that they're not going to get everything. It's just like when you go to buy a car and the car dealer tells you it's $20,000, and then you start negotiating down. You never pay that $20,000, but they're gonna say it's $20,000 because they know they're going to be working things down. So they're going to try to get it at the high point and then try to drop down to a point where they're comfortable. So that's what's going to happen. Both sides are going to have to get comfortable with the is there a stimulus check or is there not a stimulus check? How much is that stimulus check going to be? I personally believe there's going to be another stimulus check. It's just a matter of how much. So that's where we are. It can't be less than $1,200. We've already received $1,200. I think most people would say, yeah, it's not going to be less than $1,200, but it might not be $2,000, and we might not see that every month. $2,000 for the first month, and then $1,000 every month after that, or $2,000 for the first month, and then $2,000. I don't think we're going to see anything like that. I think we'll see one more check, and then they'll just call it at that point. Maybe what they'll do is say, okay, we're gonna give it another 30 days, and then we'll reconvene and we'll look at it. We'll put it in a committee, and the committee's going to look at it and see if it's feasible to have another stimulus check. So that's where I think it's going to go. I think Mitch McConnell's going to have a lot of pressure to go ahead and do another stimulus check. Now, there are other things that they've been talking about right now, which is interesting too. They've been talking about infrastructure. They've always been, I mean, this is before we even had this whole coronavirus situation crisis. Before that, when President Trump was first elected, even before President Trump, they always talk about infrastructure. So building up the roads and bridges and all that stuff. So that's always a talk. They've been going back and forth. Nothing has really happened yet. They're mentioning it again. The president mentioned it. Nancy Pelosi mentioned it. So it is back in the forefront. So infrastructure, we might see some stuff going on with infrastructure. Another thing that they're talking about right now is fiscal support for states and local government. Now, this is a big one. And you saw Governor Cuomo and Mitch McConnell talking about this, going back and forth. Well, not really going back and forth, but they're both expressing their feelings about it. And Cuomo is very, very upset about Mitch McConnell saying if these states are going to go bankrupt, we're going to let them go bankrupt. We don't want to have to pay or send money out for states that were already doing bad, even though, let's face it, the federal government, we're all in a deficit right now. But they don't want to have to pay out money to a state that wasn't doing well before the coronavirus, and now they're doing even worse. So things like that. But then you have to also understand, like Governor Cuomo was basically saying, look, some of these large states, New York, California, they have a lot of revenue that comes through and goes to the federal government, comes through that state and goes to the federal government. You have the tech companies in California. You have, let's face it, you have Hollywood in California. You have Wall Street in New York. You have some real big industries that are making a lot of money, and a lot of that money is going to the federal government. As a matter of fact, some states like this, and Connecticut and some of these other states, they pay more to the federal government than they take back. And then on the other hand, you have some states that are just taking money from the government. So they don't make enough revenue in their state in order to have like a surplus when it comes to the money that they're giving to the federal government. So the federal government is basically, carrying them along. And that's the way it works. I mean, we are the United States of America, and we do need to share our wealth, right? That's why we pay taxes. And when I pay taxes, that money doesn't just go to the things that I need. It goes to the things that we need collectively as a country. So it's understandable. But in situations like this, where you have certain areas like New York hit hard, New Jersey hit hard, California was hit hard, Washington, the state of Washington was hit pretty hard. So they need the finances right now. So if they need the finances right now, we should collectively be sending money to them. And there shouldn't be a situation where we're talking about letting states go bankrupt. It just doesn't make any sense. That's one of those deals where, okay, I'm going to let you go bankrupt, and they're a part of the U.S. So letting them go bankrupt is not going to help us collectively as a country. So I'm sure that will be discussed. I'm sure there's going to be some money that will be allocated towards government, state government, local government, but we'll just have to see with that. So at this point, I know we all want another check, and so that's what we want to really focus on. So for the next month and a half, 2 months, however long it takes, I will be working through all the different proposals and putting that out to you guys so you know. So like I said, hit that subscribe button. I'll also, on my website, I'll also post a link so you guys can find all the U.S. representatives and the senators. You can have all their contact information. That way, when I talk about things, you can put it out to them, because this is very important. If you're sending them emails, you think, oh, they're not going to read the email. You're right. They're not reading the email, but they have aides, and those aides are reading the emails. And guess what those aides are doing with the emails? They're putting little check marks. Okay, you know what? They're on this side. They're on that side. They want a stimulus check. They don't want a stimulus check. And then they're going to do a little percentage, and they'll look and say, okay, you know what? 70% of the people want a stimulus check, and they take that to the politician. And then that's when they look at it and they say, okay, well, you know what? The majority of my constituents, they want another stimulus check. So even though I might not want to because my side of the aisle doesn't want another stimulus check, I still need to consider that and at least think, hey, you know what? Maybe I can convince some of my colleagues that it would be a good thing. So that's the way it works when it comes down to it. They might not read your letter, your email, but they will know the percentage of people, how they feel about certain things. So get out there, let them know. And the way that you're going to let them know is, like I said, I'll give you the proposals. I'll let you know what I think about it. You can make up your own mind, and then you can send them an email that way. If you guys have any questions or anything like that, post it down below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.